Hey everyone, this is Pete. Welcome back to Sunday Driving and our continuing adventures through Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. We're probably not too far off finishing the World Tour mode now. So, let us continue.
Twilight Engine. Select an event.
So last time we were having a look through these events here. We don't quite have enough stars to unlock Joe Musashi, but I think we have done enough to unlock the last chapter of the World Tour.
New tour unlocked.
Here we go, Moonlight Park.
Moonlight Park. Select an event.
Alright, so we begin with a versus race on a Sonic track.
Versus. B-Class.
Let's do it.
Character select. Ooh la la.
Let's go with our acceleration handling.
Acceleration.
So the versus races are those series of one-on-one showdowns where you either have to get a certain distance ahead of the opponent or simply be in the lead when the time expires. These haven't been too difficult previously, so hopefully this one will be no exception. Already into the lead.
Twister.
Let's dance.
Hot Rod.
That's one down. Next up, Shadow the Hedgehog.
Twister.
Space Jumper.
That was unfortunate. But he fell off, so fuck you, Shadow.
Hot Rod.
Oh no! That was unfortunate. The old curse of cockiness strikes again, clearly. Yeah, this won't be too hard.
Firework.
They seem to be driving noticeably slower than me though, which is fine.
Neat.
Neat!
Firework.
Alright, well, that'll do.
Three.
Amy!
Go.
Ooh, that was not a good place to start. That was kind of the inverse of what was happening on that Shinobi track a while back, where the cutscene was actually putting me at a significant advantage each time. That one nearly had disastrous results. Very nice.
Hot Rod.
Excellent. And last up it's Knuckles. Who seems to have a vehicle almost as silly as Ulala's.
Ice.
Nothing wrong with that though.
Twister.
Music for this stage is so Sega. Does sound more like something out of something like Super Monkey Ball rather than Sonic though, but yeah. It's still very much a Sega piece of music. Alright, victory! Oh no. And that's simply just not paying attention. This is the last one now.
Hot rod. Hot rod. Finish.
Nice.
Event complete.
Ooh la la, reporting from Spaceport 9. Over and out.
Ulala must have amazing core muscles to be able to leap out of her car like that. I think we can all learn something from her.
Select an event.
Alright, straightforward enough. We got a lock we can open straight away down here because we only need 60 stars. So let's go this way first. We got a drift challenge in the Curian Mansion.
B-class.
8 zones to pass.
Character select. Ooh la la.
Some good handling will be helpful for this one, I feel. So let's go with our standard setup. So the drift challenge, we've not had one of these for a little while, I don't think. This is a bit like the stages in Outrun 2 and Outrun Coast to Coast, in that there's areas in which you just need to drift. And it's not the entirety of the track, it's a specifically marked area.
Checkpoint.
So you need to drift while you're in those zones, and then you get a time bonus based on how long
Checkpoint.
you were drifting actually within that zone.
Checkpoint.
So you need to make sure that you both stay in the zone and that you're drifting. Because otherwise you simply won't have enough time to finish the course.
Alright.
Checkpoint.
Have we done it? Come on! Come on!
Finish.
Nice. Nothing like cutting it a bit fine, eh?
Event complete.
I kicked butt.
Select an event.
Alright, moving on. A boost challenge. So this is one of the ones where you have to keep boosting in order to stop the clock.
Character ooh-la-la.
Alright, let's go for acceleration this time, because that also improves top speed a little bit.
Acceleration.
Jet Set Radio!
3, 2, 1, go.
It's okay, but I really need to revisit at some point. I've not played the original Jet Set Radio since I actually played it on the Dreamcast, but I did love that game. Never really got into Jet Set Radio Future that much, simply because at the time I played it, it wasn't really the kind of game that I kind of wanted it to be. But I'm interested to return to it now, I think.
Let's dance. Huh?
Oops. Oh dear. That's not going to help, is it? Just given that I think it's probably a lot better than I gave it credit for at the time. As I remember at the time sort of respecting it for doing what it did really well. I just didn't... It just wasn't the kind of game I was interested in playing at the time. As that was sort of around the time that the original Xbox was new and exciting, and 3D platformers were still a thing, but they... I don't know, for my taste at the time, they weren't really what I wanted to be playing, but obviously I've come back around to things like 3D platformers and that sort of thing ever since, but the time Jet Set Radio Future came out, it wasn't exactly what I wanted. Excuse the sound of my phone in the background there. time of recording, my wife is out. So I need the phone there, just in case she phones needing a lift back. Just doing my husbandly duties, you know?
Checkpoint.
Groovy.
So anyway, yeah, Jet Set Radio Future, it's a game I'd like to give another go. It's a game I'd like to see re-released, actually.
Let's dance.
It's one of those games that hasn't really had the HD remix treatment. The original Jet Set Radio's made a couple of comebacks, but
Join the body.
no sign of Future.
Checkpoint.
I'll always associate it alongside with Sega GT. And
Event
I've kind of gone off the sort of realistic Gran Turismo style
Down.
racing games over the years, but Sega GT was always one that I really enjoyed for some reason, just because it had a nice balance between the sim stuff and the more arcadey feel. And also I have very fond memories of playing it using the Xbox's custom soundtrack feature. I don't think I ever played it with the original soundtrack. So yeah, that would be one that's interesting to revisit at some point, but I don't actually have an original Xbox anymore. It's one I need to add to my collection at some point, although there's not really room under or around the television for it at the moment. Alright, so there's Gum from Jet Set Radio. She needs 105 stars to unlock, so we'll have to come back for her. In the meantime, Traffic Attack time. So Traffic Attack is one where you have the sort of weird computer-generated
acceleration.
drone cars, and you have to avoid them, pass through the sort of time gates and things,
Ready,
and not hit things.
2, 1, go.
Alright, here we go. Now, we've only had a couple of these so far, but they haven't been too bad so far. But I remember from my previous playthrough of this on the Wii U that these can get deceptively difficult. It doesn't look like it should be too tough right now, does it? But as those different coloured cars start appearing, the yellow ones and the blue ones, they start to get a lot more challenging. Alright, 7 more waves to go. If we keep nailing those time gates as well, that's going to help. Can you shoot? Oh, you can shoot the other cars. That's helpful. Oh. Those blue ones are the biggest pain, I think. It's because they actually follow you. There's the yellow ones just swerve from side to side. So yeah, Sega GT. That's one I will definitely have to revisit at some point. Perhaps even on this series if I can get it running on something or get hold of an original Xbox. Not sure if it's backwards compatible on 360. I'll have to check that. Although backwards compatibility on 360 is a bit dodgy at times anyway. I try and avoid using it whenever possible. It was while I was playing a backwards compatible game that my first Xbox 360, Red Ring of Death, and it probably wasn't related to the backwards compatibility game, which was Buffy the Vampire Slayer as I recall, but it's kind of made me a bit wary ever since. You know, when you get that sort of irrational feeling that something probably didn't cause something, but it might have done, so you don't want to really take the chance again. And also, the backwards compatibility on the 360 isn't anywhere near as good as people think it is either. If you actually have a look at the list of known issues, there are hundreds of them. So, to be honest, I think I would rather just pay 30 or 40 quid, pick up an original Xbox and do it that way. Alright, so going up, we have another boost challenge. Going this way, we have another drift challenge. We have a 90-star gate there, which we won't be able to unlock just yet. Alright, let's do the drift challenge first.
B-class. Carrot. Ooh la la.
What's our new... Oh, it's a speed one. It drops handling back down to 2. Yeah, console mod is still the worst for handling. Alright, drift challenge. Let's go for max handling again, because that seemed to work out quite nicely last time.
Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, Billy Hatcher time again.
Checkpoint. Checkpoint.
That's how we drift.
Checkpoint.
Oh,
Checkpoint.
that is less how we drift.
Checkpoint. Checkpoint.
These levels are really fun. I always enjoyed the challenges that are a bit like this in Outrun.
Finish.
Outrun 2 is another great game. And again, if I get around to picking up an original Xbox, that's definitely going to be one that will
That
be
was smooth.
re-added to my collection. I know Outrun Coast to Coast is a thing as well, but I have very fond memories of the original Outrun 2, so...
Select an event.
Alright, we've got 86 stars, so we can actually nip back over here. And... there we are. Unlock Joe Musashi while we think about it. Not that that really benefits us at all at the moment, but it's nice to unlock things as we
Select an
have
event.
the means to do so. Alright, so we have ring race there, boost challenge there. Let's do our ring race first.
B-class. Character select. Ooh la la.
Again, let's stick with the good handling.
Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because this is quite an open plan course, so I imagine the ring course is going to be fairly fiendish. Just because it's got the space to really mess with you.
Checkpoint.
Yep, there we go. Sneaking underneath the aircraft carrier. That's cool, because it's a bit of the course that you don't see normally in the standard races. Going up high. Up. And down. Nice. This one's pretty fun. Not hugely difficult, but definitely fun. The handling was a good choice.
Checkpoint.
We're going inside again. Oh dear. Oh, nasty. Yeah, this one's really cool.
Finish.
Nice. Going inside the carrier like that reminds me a bit of an old game called Carrier Command on the Atari ST. It's going to be one I'll have to dig out for the Atari A to Z series at some point. It's another game I particularly understood very well when I was a kid, but because it had some quite heavy strategy elements to it. I wasn't really old enough to appreciate or understand at the time, but it's one I would be curious to revisit now. Right, Now, if we go do this boost challenge now, we'll have enough stars to unlock that padlock up there.
B-class. Characters, voila!
So let's do just that. Let's go for some acceleration this time.
Get ready! 3, 2, 1, go!
Alright, here we go. Yeah, if you're mainly here for my Mario Gamer stuff, but you have an interest in retro games, do be sure to check out my Atari A to Z series. It's I've been really enjoying putting that together so far. It's been a huge amount of fun to revisit old Atari 8-bit and ST games that I grew up with,
Space jump.
or that I wanted to try in some cases but never got around to, or had the capability of doing so.
Groovy.
So yeah, if you have an interest in old 8 and 16-bit games, particularly from European developers, do check out my Atari A to Z series, and you'll see some interesting and unusual games that, as with most of my other work, I try and highlight games that don't get talked about quite so much as possible. So just because, I mean, that makes things a bit more interesting for me, and hopefully it makes things a bit more interesting for you as well. As you know, there's certain games that everyone knows are good or bad or interesting or whatever, so
Checkpoint.
I always have a lot more fun digging up things that are a bit more obscure, that have maybe got some interesting stories behind them. And because I know a fair few of you watching are from the States, whoops, a lot of this stuff might be interesting because it was developed and published in Europe, and in some cases didn't even make it to the States. And I know the reverse was true as well. There was stuff that came out in America that didn't really officially come out
Space jump.
in Europe either.
Groovy.
See, you think you always had problems with console games, but no, it was going on in the 8 and 16-bit computer eras as well. Probably more so in the 8-bit era than the 16-bit era.
Event complete.
I rule.
Alright, we're having pretty smooth sailing today. I've just cursed myself, I'm aware. But, alright, let's give it a couple more races and see how we get on. So, we'll unlock this gate. Got a ring race around the Golden Axe track, and then that looks like Gilius Thunderhead. But we need 120 stars for him. Alright, well, let's do the race for now. Even if we can't unlock him just yet.
Character select. Voila!
What was the event type? It was a ring race, wasn't it? So let's go with the handling emphasis again. Or standard anyway. We haven't actually unlocked the handling one yet.
Get ready. 3, 2,
Alright, here we go.
go!
You know, Golden Axe is sort of held up as the classic fantasy style beat 'em up, but I'll tell you what, the recent release of that Capcom beat 'em up bundle has kind of shown me that it actually was by no means the best. You boot up something like King of Dragons or Knights of the Round, and for my money, those games are probably better than Golden Axe. I know they probably came out a little bit later. I haven't actually looked into the release dates of each of them, but I certainly like them a bit better. King of Dragons is an especially interesting one because it's quite heavily projectile based. Not something you typically see in
Event
a player versus environment beat 'em up like that.
Up, right, left, down, two, hey.
Very good.
Select an event.
Yep, there he is, Gilius Thunderhead. Alright, let's continue on our way. So we've got a boost race here on the Burning Rangers track.
B-Class. Kerala.
This is quite a fiddly track, so we'll stick with the good handling for the minute. Oh no, boost race, I've done it again.
Get ready.
It's not a boost challenge, it's a boost race. So that means standard racing, no weapons.
Crystal Rangers, a fire has been reported at Ocean Park in New Zealand. Cause is unknown.
That glorious 90s soundtrack. I love it. Must get my Sega Saturn up and running at some point. It does work, I just don't have any cables or controllers for it, so it's not much use at the minute, but...
Follow the dolphin tank.
or games for that matter, I don't have any games either. It's one of those consoles that kind of has a sort of really compelling air of mystery about it for me at the moment. Just because it's not one that I actually grew up with. I had a friend, well, I have a friend now who had a Saturn back in the day, but I didn't know him very well at the time when the Saturn was current, so I never really had much opportunity to play it at the time. And he's not an old nerd like me that likes so much to get old consoles out and play them, so I don't even know if he still has it, but if you're watching, Matt, let's play some Saturn games.
You'll have to take this corridor.
This is not going brilliantly so far. I didn't realise he was literally driving an Outrun cabinet. I thought he was driving his forklift, but no, it's just an Outrun arcade cabinet.
The water level's really starting to rise. We don't have much time.
I think on normal we just need top 3, don't we? So as long as I can at least maintain this.
Transform boost.
Base Champa.
The screen's even animated, that's amazing. I miss arcade machines like that. I miss arcades full stop, but
Spin it.
we had a new leisure complex built here in Southampton relatively recently. And one of the things that is there was it had a bowling alley, and it supposedly had an arcade attached to it. And I'd been meaning to check it out for ages. And I finally got around to it the other week, and I was so disappointed. There were no sort of real, what I'd call actual arcade machines there. Like, pretty much everything was some form of giant mobile game that spat out tickets. It was heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking to see. But anyway, I digress. Arcade Annihilation.
Race.
So standard race.
Character.
I think at this rate we're probably going to nail the entire chapter, so let's just keep going unless we hit a particular roadblock.
Get ready.
Oh, this is a really cool course.
2, 1, go. Control.
This is one that's sort of inspired by all sorts of different Sega properties and hardware. So the game you play as you drive around, this one is just spotting what you can see. So we've got Space Harrier music in the background.
Boost.
And there's the there's the Afterburner Tomcat. There's the Bonanza Brothers hanging out at some point a little bit later on. Weirdly, I don't remember this bit. Hey! Oh dear. What is happening? This is really confusing. And I don't remember this happening at all. Yeah, normally when you do this course, sort of like the last bit is it's like a hovercrafty bit, but we seem to have gone a completely different route,
Swarm.
which is cool. Oh my god! Yeah, it's another example of this game sort of really messing with your expectations. So you might have done this track before, but this is just a completely different twist on it. And you'll notice, just to make things awkward, the map thing in the bottom left corner is jammed as well, so we can't see what's coming up. Ah, it is the hovercraft bit. Yeah, and you'll see all sorts of sort of statues of Sega characters and things over there. There's the cats and the mice from Choo Choo Rocket.
Shadow has gone all-star.
There's the Bonanza Brothers. Trouble this is that all the interesting scenery comes up in one of the more difficult bits of the course.
Eevee has gone all-star.
Alright, need to make up 2 positions at least. Alright, there's one. Oh, I knocked you off. Get out of here, Shadow.
Swarm.
That will help.
All right. Let's dance. Space jumper.
Triple swarm hit.
Woo. Oh, it's intense. Right. Let's try not to mess this bit up. That's how well you handle this last bit here is really sort of the main determining factor of... That wasn't good. I don't think this is good enough. Definitely not good enough. Nope. Disappointing. Alright, what we'll do, we'll give this one more go. If I succeed, we will continue and try and finish off the chapter. If I fail, we will call it there.
Location unlocked. B-class. Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go! Twister.
Alright. Let's be aggressive, but not too much. Careful on those bits. And not fuck up the hovercraft bit.
Hot rod.
That will help. Not quite enough to actually hit them with the ring of fire, but it helped me to catch up a bit. Right, if I can not mess this bit up as well, that will help. Just need to concentrate on where you're heading and not hit things. I think the boosts have to take priority over the items. Alright, not bad. Not bad at all.
Transform boost.
Space Jump Out.
Swarm. Amy has gone all-star.
What?
Ooh, painful.
All right.
I'll forgive Amy going all-star because she has the best music. Oh, oof, that was close.
All-star. First place.
Space Channel 5, indeed. I'm going to go left this time. That seems to be the way the majority of computer players are going, and I'm not sure if it's actually any quicker.
Drone.
One for you, Pudding.
All right.
Blowfish. Fireworks. Team Fortress has gone all-star.
Alright, into first. Let's see if we can hold this. Couple of bastards in hot pursuit. And the trouble with having no radar on this one is you can't... Oh no! Oh! Sorry, that must have sounded a bit orgasmic. I do apologise. You bastard. Nah, missed. Go! Oh, so I was going to get him then. Whee! Right. Yeah, let's definitely go left again, because that seemed to work out a bit better. And we keep heading this way. Let's try left here again. Again, I'm not entirely sure which way is the quickest. They might be both about the same, actually, in that case. Might actually win this. Alright.
Congratulations! First place! Event complete!
Up, right, left, down, choose, hey!
Level up!
And a level up.
Unlocked!
What a nice way to finish.
Stickers unlocked! Select an event!
Alright. 96 stars. Oh, and there's another chapter, eh?
Expert difficulty unlocked!
Right. Okay, so we've unlocked the 4-star expert difficulty. And the credits. So technically, we've beaten the game. Not bad, huh? Right. So, that is Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transforms World Tour Mode, on normal difficulty anyway. Might return to this at some point in the near future, but I think it's maybe time to change to something different for a little while now. So if you have any arcade racers you'd particularly like me to take a look at, do let me know down in the comments. Otherwise I shall just pick something from my collection and we'll see where things go from there. So if you do want to pick this game up, and I recommend you do because it is really, really fun, whether you're playing by yourself or with some friends. You can get it for all sorts of different platforms. So this is the PC version we've been playing, which is available on Steam. And if you're not too attached to the idea of physical versions, that's probably the version I'd recommend you go for, because I think it's got the most content by a small margin. It's got a few extra characters and possibly an extra track or two as well. But you can also get it for the 7th generation consoles. So the Xbox 360, a PlayStation 3. It's on Wii U rather than Wii. And I believe there's a PlayStation Vita version as well. I don't know how that compares to the sort of Big Brother console versions, but it's there is a handheld version as well. And then, of course, at the time of recording, we've got Sonic... What's it called? Team Sonic Racing to look forward to. Which is... going to be an interesting one because it's got quite an emphasis on sort of teamwork from the sound of things, and it's also focusing very much on just the Sonic side of things rather than the whole Sega All-Stars thing that this one's got going on. So even once that one's come out, this one is still going to have some value for people because it's going to have all the sort of homages to non-Sonic Sega properties in there. Although I'm sure they'll slip a few into Team Sonic Racing as well, just to be a bit cheeky. Trying to fill time while the credits are rolling here. So How are you? Hope you've had a nice weekend. I went into town earlier with my wife Andy, and that's a drive that should take us 10 minutes. It took us 50 minutes because we don't really know why. It was just absolutely rammed solid with traffic. So that wasn't very fun. And then I went down to our local second-hand gaming emporium, CEX, which is where probably the vast majority of my collection has come from. But the one in Southampton seems to be going rapidly downhill, which is a shame. Their selection's not been very good for quite a long time now. And the shop's sort of dimly lit and not in a great state. So I don't really know what's going on there, but they're still getting a lot of business from me via their online web shop, certainly. It's, if you're interested in collecting for platforms that are sort of home to quite a few cheap games now, so PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 and Wii are all very cheap to collect for at the minute. So if you're in the UK, do check out CEX. You do take a bit of a risk buying from them, in that you're not necessarily guaranteed on the condition of the games. So sometimes you'll get a game that's had a reprinted inlay, for example, and sometimes there won't be a manual. Sometimes you'll get a scratch disc. It took me, I think it was 4 copies of Sonic Heroes altogether before I got one that worked, but thankfully Sonic Heroes goes for about £1 these days, so I wasn't too angry about that. But it is a bit of a shame when you get a game that's it's got a dodgy inlay. I've got a copy of Bayonetta on Wii U that's got a really obviously reprinted inlay, because the actual style of it doesn't match the the actual Wii U inlay style, so I will probably replace that at some point. But anyway, the credits are finished, so I can stop rambling now. Very good. Alright.
New tour unlocked.
Oh, so we haven't unlocked a new tour. Let's just...
Superstar Show select an event.
Oh, so there are whole new events in there.
Select a tour.
Okay, so having said all that, maybe we'll do one more episode on this. We'll take a look at this Superstar Showdown and see what's going on in there, just so that if you've been watching all the way through, you get a chance to see what the whole game is. But for now, we're going to call it a day. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please help out the channel by leaving a like or a comment and subscribing. Be sure to check out moegamer.net for new articles on Japanese and Japanese-inspired video games, new and old, every weekday. Every month, Moe Gamer features an in-depth exploration of an individual game or series as its cover game, so be sure to check the archives to see if your favourite has had a deep dive yet. If you'd like to support the site directly, please consider becoming a patron or buy me a coffee. You can find links to do both down in the video description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.